Welcome to Health Oddity, the show that strips away the jargon and hype surrounding all things health and fitness to help you live a long, strong and energetic life. Lining up at the bar this week, here's Peter Lant and James St. Pierre.
Hello and welcome to the Health Oddity Podcast, episode 222, episode 222. You are joined by James St. Pierre and Mr. Peter Lant, and Mr. Peter Lant is fully adorned in walk bath and Solvitor Ambulado merchandise.
And my nips there. Sorry about that. Very prominent. My dad, I get them from my dad. He was like that. I was out running once in a white t-shirt, and it rained. And these two this was when I was doing half marathons, like 15 years ago or whatever. And these two young lasses came past me and just laughed. And then as I went past, they just shouted back, "Nice nipples!" And I was like, I couldn't say anything back because they were only about they were 12 years old or something. And I was like, what can I do? I was done.
I should explain for those of you who aren't watching. Pete's t-shirt it's not tight, but it's on the snug side, and he must be a bit cold. Let's just say that.
I'm not though. That's the problem.
Dear me. Anyway, let's anyway. It's episode 222, and today it's me and Pete having a bit of a catch up because we have had 5 weeks of back-to-back guests. And his drink. Oh no, I thought you were going to drink out of a walk bath bottle as well, but it's a kettlebell Bath Kettlebell Society water bottle.
Yeah, there are walk bath ones available.
No, I know there are. That's what I thought you had. That's what I thought you had. You got the cap, you got the t-shirt, you got the water bottle, the cuddly toy. So episode
fondue, there'll be a fondue set coming next.
So episode 222, and if you are listening on the day of release, it is the 29th of November today. And we have another couple of guests lined up for the next 2 episodes. We have Helen Hall returning, and we have David Walsh, Sitting Bull UK, who has got loads of world records and things, and he's multiple-time world's strongest disabled man. So we're going to be talking to him as well, and then potentially another guest, and then it'll be the Christmas special, so which we're going to record. So yeah, we're episode 222 today, just the two of us, episode 222, and we've got 5 previous guests that we're going to kind of discuss, and also what we're working on at the moment, and what we're reading and doing and that sort of thing. So just to refresh you, if you've missed any episodes recently, last week we had Daniel Vintilla last week, who was, I quite like that name I gave it, Cruising into Fitness. Well, it's quite clear. Okay, well,
it could have different connotations. My as you know, my brain works differently.
Yes. So Daniel Vintilla. The week before that, we had John Gibb, who was recently crowned Britain's strongest stone lifter 2024. The week before that, we had Steve Bush on, who had just hit his 5-year anniversary from weight loss surgery, gastric sleeve surgery. So we caught up with Steve. The week before that, we had Sue Collins on, who was 2 times Commonwealth athlete, now in her, I want to say late 60s. I think she may be 67, I want to say. So 66, 67 maybe. But talking about kind of a lifetime of fitness and exercise and training. And the week before that, we had Claire Booth from Strong First talking about strength and menopause. So we've had some really varied guests over the last 5 weeks. And I mentioned to Pete just before coming on, I am currently reading, I'm holding up at the moment, if you're watching on YouTube, the new book by our coach, Paul Mcllroy, called Perpetual Strength. So I'm sure we will have Paul on at some stage to talk about the book in the near future, but that's just recently come out. And I mentioned to Pete, I said I'm about 100 pages in It's about 300 pages, but I think a lot of the second half of the book is more like kind of, photos and exercises and programs and that sort of thing. So at the moment, it's all about the reasons, the why, the how, the theory, the science behind Perpetual Strength and Paul's comfort zone expansion philosophy. But yeah, Pete, what's been going on with you, mate? You just said you're very busy, like Walk Bath and everything is kind of incredibly busy and is taking off, and you're reaching new heights with that, with a number of people who are coming along and things, aren't you?
Yeah, we're getting to a critical point of like, what do we do? We need to figure out what's next. Because we had last so the weekend that's just gone. At the time of recording, we had 37 people, so there was 39 of us, including me and Sean, which is the most yet. I remember this time when we got to Christmas last year, there was only 27 people who'd been through in 5 months.
Yeah,
so it was 37 people in one day. And we've had more than 1,000 people through over the number of, like, we've done 80 walks, 81 now, I think. But at 80 walks, we'd had 1,000 people through, because it's like roughly, what's that? Like 18, 19 people per like average or whatever it was.
that's not 1,000 different people. That's
No. So like even with
attendee, 1,000 attendances, if you like.
Yes, exactly. So we've gone through that milestone. So we'll hit 10 million collective steps soon, because it's roughly 9,000 steps a go. We did over 400,000 collectively on Saturday, because Saturday's one was 10 and a bit thousand, I think. So, there's like all these stats are coming up, and this is just from Bath. So, and this is still the beginning of it. So it's like, we're just trying to grow it. So I'm going to try and get some lottery funding. I've done the application for that, but I've had to change my business address. So I need to wait for that to update on the bank account before I can then go for the funding, because it'll be a nightmare otherwise, which is just like all these like stupid little things that show up. And then we've like getting walk captains, who are going to be, like the guys who've come through, who've done the most walks and know the walks, then they become, if they want to be, they'll become walk captains and stuff like that. And we're just getting like the milestone badges are going well, and people really want them. And then, like I say, we've just been talking to I was talking to the people who produce the t-shirts and stuff like that. And then we'll have milestone t-shirts, and they'll be customizable as well. So that's for the Walk Bath stuff. But then the broader thing will be the Walk in Solvitur Ambulando thing. And then that'll become, people can customize them and stuff like that. So when you don't know someone's name, you just look at the t-shirt and they'll have it written on the back. It'll be brilliant.
That's great. No, that's great. I mean, years ago, I remember, and this is a thing, I think it was when I worked at Chelmsford Borough Council. So it was kind of like a local authority type gym. And we did this walking for health training, which was like a 1-day kind of training course that they put us on. And it was all stuff to do with, managing a group and risk assessing and, first, didn't do first aid, but the importance of, having all these things and having someone at the front, someone at the back, and, medical questionnaire and all that kind of stuff. And we used to do walks from Riverside, and I was like a walk leader, if you like. And they had, you had like one of these high vis, like, vests that you kind of put over what you're wearing, like you would if you were marshalling or something. So you got someone at the front, someone at the back, and which was, so there's massive, this sort of thing is what people need, I think, because when we talk, the kind of people, well, if we look back at the last 5 guests we've had on, someone like Steve Bush was talking a lot about, wasn't he, the walking, and how when he first had his operation, weight loss surgery, the first thing he did was set himself a daily step target, and get out walking, because it is the most natural, accessible, cheap or free, kind of thing that you can do. And it's got real carryover and it's social, the way you do it. Obviously, good for physical health, good for mental health, good for appreciation of the environment. All this kind of stuff it ticks so many boxes, doesn't it? And it's so applicable for just about everyone, you know.
Was it Ainsley? Was that the guy in Dubai?
Yes, yeah.
He started the same, didn't he, as well? Just going walking around a track. But there's a lady who comes along who's lost 32 kilos since February. Not just through walking. I mean, she does like other stuff, but you know, and she's off all of her medication and stuff. I did a survey, so I can get some stats for the National Lottery, like funding and stuff like that. And 70 people filled the survey out, which was amazing. One lady was on, like, a doctor prescribed her beta blockers because she was having a tough year. She took like 2 and she said she didn't like them and came walking instead. And that's helped more than, well, it hasn't helped more because she only took 2, but she was like, I don't want to do that because I'll end up on these for a long time. So I'll go walking instead. And she came along with a group. She already knew someone who was coming along. But we've had that, you know, we've had people who've been in abusive marriages and all this sort of stuff who come along and just get to know people. And then, like, you know, people who've had that sort of experience because, like, you know, they've had to leave and they've left all their friends behind and stuff like that. So they come along and they don't know anyone. We've had people who have moved to Bath recently. Like, there's a couple of people who come along who've moved, and within 2 weeks they've come on a couple of walks because they found it when they got here, and then and they've made friends, and then they've now got a social network in the city that they don't know. And a guy who came back from Australia because his mum's got dementia, and there was some sort of fraud happened in the home that she's in, so the police got involved. So he's had to come and sort that out, and he was really nervous on the first walk, and he's been on like 10 or 11, and he loves it. You know, and he only came back in August, and he's only been here a couple of months, but you know, he's already got a bunch of friends, and he's out walking all the time, and he's posting pictures all over Facebook of him, like, getting to know, because he's from Bath, but he's not lived here for 25 years.
Yeah.
So all of these people are turning up and really enjoying it. So the way we're doing it is we cap the numbers per walk to 20 people. So we had 37 on Saturday. So all we did a loop, and half the group went that way and half the group went the other way, and we all met in the middle and high-fived each other as we went past.
Oh, I saw the video of that. I thought that was I thought you had just come across like another group of walkers when I saw.
No, that was all ours. Everyone in that video was with us. So we met. It just so happened we met them on like the thinnest bit of the walk, the thinnest lane in between two. So we all had to kind of walk back, but everyone was like high-fiving each other and stuff.
So what happened then? Did you go with one group and Sean went with the other group, or it's kind of lead? Yeah. You had 2 sort of leaders just split out, kind of. Yeah. Okay.
So we'll be doing that more. I mean, if there's like 40 people, we can do that. But then if there's more, we'll just have to put on more walks.
I think when Unique Results come next June, we've got, I think, 16 or 18 coming with us, you know, for the weekend, which will be incredible.
But it's funny because I'm doing kind of walk captain training at the minute. I've put a PDF together and stuff like that, and I had a chat with a few of the people. But the beauty of it is we're not doing walks that we haven't done before. So it's not like we're taking people out with a map and a compass and going like, right, let's go into the wilderness and, you know, make sure you've got plenty of water and all of this. Because it's like literally we're going to be a couple of hours. We know the walk, and we're always close to town anyway, or close to something. So if anything goes wrong, you know, we're going to always ring for help and what have you. So the actual, you know, it's like owning a gym. You know, once you know someone, you know what they're capable of, you know who to look after and who's fine and who are self-sufficient and all that, and who's a bit nervous and all of that. So you get to know those people. So as we go and the group grows, so we had 37 people. There was like 4 new people on Saturday. So there was 33 people who've all been before. So they know how it works. And half of them will have done the walk before that we've done. The other half will have done other walks, so they know it. They know roughly what it's going to be like. And, you know, we don't go we take into account the weather. If it's been raining loads, we don't go somewhere that's going to be super muddy and everyone's slipping all over the place and all that sort of stuff, you know. So it's like, it's all well thought out, but it's all kind of organically happens. So when I said to the guys about being more captains, and I was like, we're going to limit it to 20 people, they're like, that's a lot of people. I was like, yeah, but 18 of them will have been before every time, you know. So it'll slowly build and build and build. So that's the idea, you know. So there's so much going on with it. I'm starting to get to the point where there's a lot going on, and it's using all the mindset stuff I've done in the past. I haven't read a book for ages because I've read them all, so now I've got to use them all because it's all getting it could get overwhelming, but I can only do so much, right? So
it's interesting, isn't it, when things go well and things are going well and things are building, and but you do get the kind of the overwhelm can creep in, the kind of almost the imposter syndrome can creep in, where you think, oh God, all this seems to be going to, am I really capable of this? Or, am I really able to do, what I mean? It's all that kind of thing, isn't it? It all kind of creeps in.
Or are people actually getting anything out of this? And then you go and do a survey. So the survey I did, I've talked to a lady who's helping me out with all this, and she said, you need to do a survey because I had some like national statistics in there. She was like, get some statistics from your group. So I was like, okay. So I just did a Google form, a couple of questions. It was anonymous. I put it out at like into the Facebook group at like 10 o'clock in the morning. And by 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I'd had 28 responses. By Saturday morning, I'd had, I think, about 40. By the end of Monday, after I sent it out in an email, I'd had like 50 odd. And then by the end of that week, I'd had 70. So within a week, I had 70 responses. And I was like, okay, so people are getting so, and 100% of people said they wanted to keep doing it. So, and it was all about people working for their physical health, mental health, social connection, anxiety, loneliness, and another thing, and I can't remember what it was, but and most of it was social connection, physical and mental health were like right up there in the 80-90%, and then the lower ones were kind of hovering around 30%, which is the national average for loneliness and stuff like that. And then it goes a slightly lower percentage for like chronic loneliness. But it was just really interesting how the stats came out, because there's studies that are done with less people than that. So this is like a proper study. It's like a proper experiment of just like, let's all go for a walk and see what happens. And it's just grown organically, and now it's started to get its own momentum, because there's 2,000 people in the Facebook group and stuff like that. So it's just started getting its own momentum. So it's quite scary. No,
that's fantastic. And you talking about milestones and all the things that are going on positive with Walk Bath and things. I posted something the other day where where was it? I put it on. There you go. So we hit sort of 700 followers on the Health Oddity group, didn't we? On the Instagram. Over 4 years of weekly podcasts every single Friday, over 220 unique episodes recorded, 150 fantastic guests, all these great things, and then good things happening, obviously, next year for us as well with I'm not sure we can say it or not yet, but the Stones 2 documentary and us being involved.
I don't know what you were talking about there. It's like, yeah.
So we've mentioned, obviously, I mean, I'll say it anyway, if I'm sure it'll be fine. But the Stones documentary that came out recently that we've spoke about a number of times, and obviously John Gibb, who we had on a couple of weeks back, was featured quite a lot in there, along with Stevie Shanks and other people. So that was all based upon stone lifting in Scotland, and Maximum Iron is the company. The guy's name is James. He's from Manchester. He's doing a Stones Part 2, all based in Ireland. So all the Irish stone lifting kind of culture, heritage, tradition, and stones. And obviously, I'd imagine that our good friend David Keown, Indiana Stones, will be heavily involved in that. But
wouldn't it be hilarious if he wasn't? You just didn't tell him and did a massive documentary, and then he was like,
So Health Oddity are going to be backers for that film, and they're getting involved in that film being made, which is great. So, because I said, didn't I, to you, Pete, I think that the whole idea behind Health Oddity was that we're talking about things and we're introducing people to things that are not the kind of mainstream. They're not the conventional. They're not what you'd find in your usual, Virgin Active or Nuffield Health or your local council gym, or they're kind of a little bit different. And that's why we try to talk to people about, things like, maces and Indian clubs and stone lifting and the Dinny stones and strongman, and, even talking about things like walking and, calisthenics, body weight training, all this kind of stuff is not the mainstream. So I think it ties in really well with what we started this podcast for, and and what we're interested in. So,
well, for me, it's. I mean, when we first started it, we didn't know where it was going to go. We just decided to do it, didn't we? But and see what happened. But this is there's so many like ways you can go with it, but the simple and consistent approach of like we've just done an episode a week, and that's it. That was the goal, wasn't it?
yeah, yeah.
And we didn't have say for how long. It was just like we'll just do one episode a week, and that's it. But with it, I mean, everything you've just mentioned there. I mean, it doesn't matter if people go to the gym or not. It's up to them if they want to go to a commercial gym and do body splits and all that. That's absolutely fine, but you'll still get help from this podcast. But that's what I think. Everything's got bogged down in that sort of culture online of like, ripped people with good genetics and all of this. And then it doesn't resonate with your average person. And stone lifting maybe doesn't resonate with your average person, but it's really like it's more interesting, I think, because it's something different. Because all the other stuff has been done to death, and that doesn't mean there's anything wrong with it. It's just like it just becomes a noise, doesn't it? That you see it and you go, oh, that'll be this, or I've seen this before. Whereas the stuff that we talk about, I mean, we just do it because we're super interested in it. We get people say, "Can they come on?" Or like you've got your list of people to talk to and all that, and it's like, yeah, we want to speak to these people because like David's just super interesting because he's just had a massive journey of it's a unique journey, and it should be told, and it's just I just love it. It's absolutely amazing.
It is, isn't it? And and I think it kind of ties into, like you said, walking, being out in nature. Well, one of the things the guys said a lot, didn't they, in the original The Scottish Stones documentary, was it's when you go on these stone lifting tours, it's more about, it's not lifting the stones is almost not the most important part of it. It's the memories that you create and the people that you meet and the bonds that you create with the fellow people who are there with you, and in the same way, walk Bath or any kind of training, really, if you can find a community of, as Dan John would call it, an intentional community of like-minded people who are coming together to do something positive, no matter what it is, you're going to get something from that. If that be an exercise class in your local village hall, or your church hall, or if it be, a dance class once a week, or swimming, in the local swimming pool, or a walking group, whatever it is, it's about physical health, yes, but mental health, companionship, community, all of that is so much more important as well.
Well, that's like your gym is the prime example of that, and and it's in your local area, but you've got, and so it's got like a certain reach, but you could replicate that all over the place because it's called unique results. I think it's unique in the way that there probably are other gyms that do the similar things. I don't know why my thumb's coming up.
No, I didn't put a thumb up. No,
it's nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
I think it's because I use my hands a lot like this, but it's called unique results, and I think it is unique, and it's not because of it necessarily what you do. It's because of the people who come along. Because it's people who are, slightly older. You've got a 65-year-old Edith lifting
50 kilos Atlas stones.
Atlas stones, and Ali comes along, has got into Strong Woman, and Alex, sorry, and Lauren came along, lost a load of weight, and then got into kettlebell sports. So everyone's doing something slightly different. And your influence is definitely there because you got into strongman. So then all of a sudden there's a lot of strongman equipment and that. And then people are like, oh, what's that for? Can I use that? So it's all these slightly different things, which is exactly what Daniel was talking about last week, wasn't he? He was saying, he did a bit of bodybuilding. He did a bit of powerlifting, calisthenics first. Then he got into powerlifting at the end, didn't he? But he said he'd done it all. like the Spartan
The
races.
Spartan races as
Yeah,
well.
and he was like just going through the motions of those, of doing something slightly different, and then he's got all of that in his toolbox, and I think you do that really well at your place. Because from what I've seen as well, and from when I was there, I thought it was all that, but it's not, is it? Because most people in there are just like your average person.
Yeah, we have Pilates in there and stretching classes and all different kinds of people. Yeah, and different.
But I think it looks like people join for that. And then, or they might even be put off with seeing some of the other stuff and going, well, that's not me. And it's like, yeah, but we'll do all this as well. However, they come in on that, but then after a year or two, they'll be like, that looks great. I feel much stronger, fitter, healthier. I feel like I can take on more. I should challenge myself more. And then they go into the other room and there's like Atlas stones and all sorts. So it's like, right, let's give those a go. So I think that's
I think because I try to do, like I've done recently, last few weeks, I've got another one to do, these like almost like a weekly montage that I do, like a training montage, and I just take little videos all through the week of various classes, various people doing all different things, and then put together like a montage that's like 90 seconds long, just of probably 20 or 30 clips from the week. And a few people have said, because it really, you've got all these different people doing things, but most of them are, say 50 plus, so that's the one thing that they think, oh, all these people, you may have someone, like you say, doing deadlifting or doing Atlas stones or doing a spinning class or doing stretching or doing press ups or chin ups or whatever, but they're all kind of on the older side, kind of 50 plus, or certainly
steady on, because as we're recording this, I'm only 2 years away from 50.
but people notice that, because when I see what was this coming, there's loads of gyms in Chelmsford, there's tons of them, I couldn't even tell you all of them, but there's new ones that open all the time, and you see because they do the sponsored kind of Facebook posts and things, and most of them you click on it and they're using young fit people in their imagery, and it's usually young fit men in their imagery, and so many people just look at that and think, well, that's not me, and so I think you have to have, if you want, and that's fine to do that if that's the kind of people you want to attract, but I think the vast majority of people out there are not young fit men, they're just by statistics,
but also it's not necessarily the young people who need the help, because they might just go and do what they're going to do anyway. It's people who get into our sort of time of life that are then like, do you know what, I need to either get back to somewhere close to what I was, or try, or I need to start because I've never done anything. That was me. I was like in my mid 30s or like, late 30s. I was like, I need to start because I've never done anything. Really.
One thing I saw, actually, Chris, friend of the show as well, Chris Branch, who did the 100-mile track run and all the rest of it. He posted something, I think I may have just seen it yesterday, maybe even today or yesterday. And we don't really talk about this a lot, but this actually made me think. He was running on a running track, and he was running fast, call it sprinting, call it running quickly. He wasn't not a slow jog and not a walk. And he sort of said something, and it's what we say a lot, is that if you can do something one day, it's very unlikely that you go to do it the next day and you all of a sudden you can't, So it was about actually running fast, and I'm not doing loads of fast running, but getting out there. And it made me think, because the other day I've got a client who's signed up, actually. He's 60 next year, and he's signed up for one of these Spartan races. And he's going to have to do monkey bars. And I used to do the monkey bars all the time, like fairly regularly. And the other day, he's got bad shoulders. I don't know if he's actually going to be able to do it. We had this conversation, because it takes a lot, because obviously when you're doing a monkey bar, you're effectively hanging all your body weight on one arm while you swing to the next one, and then you're holding all your body weight on that arm while you swing to the next one. And I got up on this box to sort of show him how to do it. And I really got up there and I thought, God, this doesn't feel natural. This feels really like, can I do it? Am I going to fall off? You know? And it took me a few little sways to think, okay, let's get it. But okay, right, okay. But it didn't feel graceful or natural. I could still do it, but I could I pretty much lost my ability to do the monkey bars, which Dan John talks a lot about, that kind of, you know, brachiating and moving, you know, from one to the other. And it's just because I haven't done it. So that really made me think. And also running fast, I haven't done for ages, you know. So it made me kind of think. And I've got a fields at the back of my house, you know, and it just like once a week go out there and do some shuttle runs, you know, like, I'm not saying everyone should do this, because obviously if you struggle with walking and you know, you need to, you know, the old adage, you know, you need to learn to walk before you can run.
quite literally.
Quite literally. But it made me think, you know, like, because he said otherwise you might need to run for something and you won't be able to run. You know, you just
you know, like, quick. Oh, hang on, I've forgotten.
But it's true, isn't it? Because you just think, I'm going to be able to run, but you know, or you certainly won't move as fast as you used to, or you pull something, you know.
It's funny because I never do any running really.
Nor do I anymore at the moment, anyway.
But if I have to run, I've been out with a dog and stuff like that, and I'll go like, right, come on, or we'll be on a beach, and I'll go, and I'll race him, and he obviously clearly wins because he just legs it, but he finds it great. But actually, I feel much more comfortable running faster now than I ever did years ago. And I think that's because of like building strength and having a better posture and all of that sort of stuff. So I actually run more upright and I pump my arms and I use like the circular motion and all that sort of stuff, which I don't know anything about, but it just feels more natural to do that. And maybe my shoulders move in a better way or whatever. But what you said about the monkey bars is funny. Two things on that, because people tend to like, you'll watch them and they go like that and they'll do hand, hand.
Yeah.
Or try and do it bar to bar like that, which is really hard because you're facing forwards. For me, and I haven't done it for ages, but I used to be quite good at the monkey bars because I'm light, and I just miss a bar out, and you can get as long as you're that far forward, you can swing back, and then
that's what I used to do. You know, almost like it's almost like, you know, when you watch because I used to watch it, and I have watched the recent series because Bella, my daughter really loves it. But Gladiators on TV, or American Gladiators for our American viewers who I don't even know if that's on anymore, but we had a recent you know, like a reboot, if you like, of Gladiators, and they do that hang tough, don't they, where they're on the rings and they really get a long swing. And that's how I used to be able to do the monkey bars, like the monkey bars I've got on my gym. Like you say, I used to swing, and I think I managed to swing and miss two out and grab, two out and grab, and really get a long swing. So you're almost like this, you know, on the bars. So it's something that I'm going to kind of practice again, or at least try, because, you know, it's just something you do all these things you do lose, you know.
The other thing as well, though, because there's a kids play park in somewhere like where I take the dog walking, and I'm there in the afternoon, kids are at school and all that, so there's no one around. So every now and then I'll jump up and do like a bit of skin the cat or something like that. But they've got those bars that aren't straight, they're curved.
Yes.
So if you go to a kids playground, I don't hang around kids playgrounds, by the way.
Okay.
But if you go to a kids playground, so there's like a slide, and then it's up. You have to jump to get onto the bars. But then there's some metal bars that kind of curve down like that, and then there's curved metal bars on them. So I instead of jumping up to the top,
you start low and then climb up.
I thought I'll just monkey bar up. Do you know how hard that is? It's like climbing stairs with your hands. I tried to do it, and I was like, oh, that's slightly harder than I thought.
I know, but it's the thing, isn't it? Because you look at these things and you think, and the other thing that people lose, so what we lose as we get older, one of the last things to go is strength, is like just brute strength. If you're strong, you can remain strong for a long time. But it's speed, it's power, it's the snap, it's acceleration, it's doing something quickly that most people, we all lose if we don't do it. It's that use it or lose it thing. So it did make me think the shuttle runs or the sprints, or might take the kids over the park at the weekend and just try some, and also I don't have like any running shoes anymore. I don't have any trainers. I just have like barefoot shoe, which I can run in, but it's kind of like yeah, you just got to get out and just try it, I think, again. And jumping is something that people really, which is why the Dan John, the 1, 2, 3, 4 assessment, we do the standing long jump, but jumping onto something as well, jump, even for most people, jumping up onto a curb, leave with 2 feet leaving the ground at the same time, and landing is very hard for people to do.
Well, the funny thing is with walking, one of the reasons I started it was because I like walking, but also pretty much everyone we've had on this podcast says start there. Or not even start there. If you're already doing something, just add a bit more walking, a few more steps. And it's really interesting how many people struggle with walking, like uphill, whatever. We do, it's like 2 hours, 4 miles ish, right? Give or take. And most people are okay with it, but some people get really out of breath and really struggle with the uphills and have to stop and all of that. And it's like, you should be able to do this. No problem, because most people are in their, I'm going to say in their 50s. You should be able to do it, and I'm not saying it's like, how dare you and all that, but it's like, you should be able to do it. And it shows that people aren't doing it enough. And it really surprised me actually that, but it doesn't surprise me how quickly they do get used to it. And they come along 3 or 4 times, and then all of a sudden they're striding up a hill and going, God, I've done that in one go, and I couldn't do that the first time. So I just find that fascinating. And watching people try and walk up and down steps, sometimes they almost have to jump down the steps because they can't, like, just
it's the lack of ankle mobility, isn't it?
They can't lower themselves, or and sometimes it might be because they're wearing like walking boots or something like that. But it's just really interesting to watch. And I mean, like, I'm way more aware of it now than I ever was from, like, becoming a PT and doing all of this stuff and everything. And you just see people walking around, and it's like, not judging them, but just kind of, you can see like your right foot lands a lot heavier than your left foot, so that's why you've got a sore hip and all this sort of stuff. You can kind of see it in people, and I'm not physio or anything. I don't know that.
Yeah, but you see, we talk to enough people on here, and you see enough people face to face, and you read enough and watch enough to see these things, don't you?
Because what you're saying there about jumping up a curb or something, I just find that even stepping off a curb, it's just really interesting how difficult some people find it. Or some people will get to a curb and then walk over that way and go down a little ramp or something because they can't do that. And and I'm not talking about 80-odd-year-old people. I'm talking about people who should be able to just stride off no problem.
Yeah, I think actually having this discussion, I'll probably do, because we do even find that when we do our walking weekends every year in June, we do have people who do struggle, with it. And because it's always been like a very low key kind of very accessible, very gentle walk, where you want as many people to come as you can and just do it whatever pace you want, so some people will be way out in front, some people will be at the back and whatnot. And we do have people in their 70s doing it as well. But I think what I'll need to do before we come to you next June is I'll need to organize a few like practice walks, if you like, just as a group from the gym. And there's no mountains or big hills around where we are, but it'll just be, right, we're going out to walk for 90 minutes or 2 hours, and just get people used to it, just the time on the feet. Because when we come to you, there's going to be a lot more hills and climbing and things than they're used to, so I really need to make sure we do that.
There's people who've been along with us and they're like, I don't like hills, and I'm like, you need to move them because Bath's surrounded by, like, it's in a bowl. It's in a bowl. There's no way out unless you go up a hill.
Yeah. No, we will definitely do that. We'll definitely have to practice, get some people out to practice. Like I say, like Jeff, I think Jeff and Linda are coming, and Jeff's 70, he might be 76, 77 by the time we come. And he's skiing with us again in February. You know, he goes skiing every year.
Yeah.
So it's that walking is, you know, it's challenging for people. But yeah, but I like you say, people in their 70s, you kind of obviously understand it a bit more, you know. Or it's not understand it, but we always understand it. But do you know what I mean? It's kind of, you know, you kind of expect when people are, you know, in their late 70s heading towards 80, you know, they're not going to maybe be as good as they were, but certainly 40s, 50s, you know, 60s, early 60s, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, we really should.
I find it really sad when I see it, and then people go, "Yeah, it's because of my age," and I'm like, it's not.
No,
I find it really. I just find it sad. It makes me sad because I'm like, you know, it doesn't need to be like that, and you know, and they probably know it doesn't need to be like that, but it's easy. It's an easy way out just to
yeah.
say it's my age, you know. But who's the guy? Is it Kevin at your gym who's just done 10,000 swings? Is that?
Oh, yeah, yes. I was going to say a few well done. Yeah, Kevin Atwell, who's 63, I think I want to say. And he's he's a former army, you know, so he's an army sort of veteran. He's a former rugby guy, and he's a big old boy. And he's had 2 hip replacements.
I was going to say, if he's been in the army and played rugby, he's probably got
a
few new joints kicking about.
He's had 2 hip replacements, 1 knee. He's waiting for his other knee, so we'll be all 4, you know, all 4 done, which is amazing. But he did his 10,000 swing challenge. So he started on the 1st of July, kettlebell swings, and he wanted to do 100 a day. And it would take him 100 days. You know, if he did 100 every day for 100 consecutive days was the goal. But he kind of had a little bit of an injury. I want to say around midway through, maybe a bit more than midway through, where he just kind of tweaked something in his hip very slightly. And I think within 3 or 4 or 5 days, he was back again. But he took it very gradual, and then he built back up to the 100 a day. It's interesting. What actually caused the injury was he'd missed a day or 2, and he wanted to try and sort of catch up by doing like double in one day almost, or 150 instead of 100 or 200, you know. And that's when he did it, you know, because he just tried to do too much. It's what when we had Dave Adkins on the podcast, when he said most injuries are either through lack of activity, too little activity will cause you to get injured, or too much, you know, doing too much too soon, or trying to progress too quickly, you know. And so we had that conversation. He saw Dave, and we had that conversation around, you know, he tried to basically catch up and do like 2 lots in one day and did too much, you know. But no, he did fantastic.
Whereas all he could have done is over 10 days, just done an extra 10. Which would have been much more achievable. Isn't it funny? Oh, I need to catch up, so I catch up all in one go. It's like, no, just do it over. Just average it out. He could have even just said, right, I don't know.
For the next 20 days, I'll do 105.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So you know, it's funny, isn't it? But that's mental. That's how the brain works, doesn't it? It's just like, oh, I'll get there and I'll do it quickly, and it's like, well, yeah. It's interesting.
But no, he did great, and we had the tactical strength challenge at the gym last weekend as well, and we had some. It's interesting because we had Paul Anderson, Kev Brooks, Alex Nicole Bennett. Who else? I think they're the 3 that followed the kind of the programming. So I've been very much like the Paul Mcllroy, the Perpetual Strength style programming that he gives us, you know, for deadlifts. Never pushing too hard, you know, just lots of volume with lighter loads, and gradually just progressed up. And all 3 of them, Alex did a 10 kilo PR. She went from 140 to 150 kilos in her deadlift. Paul went from 120 to 127 and a half. And Kev went from 180 to 200 kilos. And Kev, he was, I didn't, Kevin Brooks, his name is.
Oh, right.
Not Kevin Atwell, no.
Kevin Atwell.
Yeah. But I hadn't actually given him a specific program, but he trains with Paul, and he was basically doing the same program I've given Paul, but just adding 20 kilos to everything because he's a bit that much stronger. So no, so it really worked. They all did brilliantly. So that was another well done to those guys. And Matt Sales as well did very well, and Sandra as well. We only had five doing it, but no, it was good. But no, it's good just to see people improving, people just trying, yeah, just trying to improve themselves, and just it's the consistency. It always comes down to consistent training for 6 months will get you some great goals.
Well, it's like what Sue said, didn't she? She was like, she was competing, and then she wasn't competing anymore because she was working. So she started doing marathons because, which is obviously like hard, but she could span that out over time. And then later on, her knees got sore. Like, did she have to have replacements?
Yeah, one knee replacement. Yeah.
And so she couldn't do that anymore. But she's always done something. She's always like, right, well, what can I do? What can I do? And then because like a lot of people go, well, I can't do what I want to do, so therefore I'll just stop. And it's like, well, no, what can you do? Do that.
Yeah.
And the likelihood is, a lot of the time is you'll be able to go back to doing what you were doing. Because it's just a setback, and if you keep moving and what have you, then eventually you might be able to get back to it. Like Mark Rifkind with pistols and squats and all that after a knee replacement and what have you. So, and he's had like lots of other issues, hasn't he, over the years?
Yeah.
And Dan with his hips and stuff like that. It's like it's you do what you can, and then eventually you might be able to get back to what you were doing. But if you don't, it doesn't matter because at least you'll keep moving.
Yeah.
Whereas if you stop, you stop. And I'm a massive, I don't even know what the word is, but I'm not, and it's like it's not like I'm not going to stop because it's like it's not because I'm not going to stop because I'm fucking nuts and I'm going to go for it and all that. It's like no, I'm not going to stop. I'm just going to keep taking over because I know it's good for you in the future. What does it look like in 20 years?
Yeah. No, it's great. No, it's really interesting. And like we say, it's great that we've had these last 5 weeks of fantastic varied guests, but it's also great when every few weeks we get to kind of have a bit of a catch up and ruminate on some of the things we've learned and some of the people we've talked to and what's been going on with us. So
are you saying that? Are you saying that to the gentle listener? You will enjoy this. It's just us two, but you've enjoyed it. So honestly,
I've enjoyed it. Someone said to me, who was it? Mr. Paul Field, friend of the show, Captain Field, said to me the other day. He said I think he listened to the last one that the two of us had done just together, and he got something from it. He sort of said, "Oh, it was really interesting you talking about whatever and
whatever it was."
I can't remember what it was. No, it's quite a few weeks ago now, but it's true. I think it's important to, it's great to speak to varied people from all over, but then you also, like you said, I think you might have said it before we started recording, but you said, I haven't read any new books, but I've read all the books. I just need to implement the stuff that I know, or that I've learned. I need to implement. So it's great speaking to new people every week, but you do need to sometimes just stop and take stock and think, okay, well, out of these things that we've learned from these last 5 weeks of guests, maybe what are the commonalities, that everybody's saying, what are the standout things that are easiest to implement or whatever, because and people listening will get different things from different guests and be inspired by different people and different things, which is inevitable. But I think I always enjoy sitting down with you for like an hour and just talking things through every few weeks, which is good. Yeah, brilliant. Okay, so as we said, 29th of November today, and next week we are rejoined by Helen Hall, who's a Strong First Elite instructor. And last time we had Helen on, we were talking quite a lot about menopause and things like that. I'm not sure what direction the conversation will have next week, but I'm sure it will be, kind of updating where she is. And like I said, the week after, we already have David Walsh booked in Sitting Bull UK to talk to him. Please do like, share, subscribe, leave a review if you're watching or listening on a platform that allows you to do so, especially if you are on Apple Podcasts. And I'm just going to scroll just to make sure I haven't missed anything. No, that's cool. Excellent. Yeah, more Apple Podcast reviews, please, guys, so I can read them out online and give away T-shirts, hoodies, merch, that kind of thing. Thanks, Pete. I enjoyed that.
No, it was good. Yes. We'll love it.
Excellent. And we will see you next week for episode 223 with Helen Hall. Until then, bye-bye.
You've been listening to Health Odyssey with Peter Lant and James St. Pierre. To get your regular fix of hype-free health, you can subscribe and leave a review wherever you get your favorite podcasts. You can find out more on today's and other topics at healthodyssey.com or find us on Facebook or Instagram by searching for Health Odyssey.